That would be why we are here today. So, not to take too much of our time, I just want to reiterate what Mr. Nyang said, Head of Branding and Communication, that we would appreciate if you put your telephones off, because it would be very inconvenient for people to conduct a press conference and then people will be receiving calls or making noise. So I think let's just try to adhere to that regulation here. We will, after the Chief Executive Officer speaks, we will give you about 30 minutes question time. But let me underpin the importance of one thing. Please, ask questions. We would not entertain statements, because the statement is what we are giving you. So if you take the microphone or you take the floor, ask a question. Now I will formally introduce Chief Executive Officer Lamin J.K. Sane to deliver the statement.
Thank you, Esa. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another press briefing by the Gambia OIC Secretariat. The Secretariat convenes public briefings to inform the general public of the status of our work and constraints we encounter, if there is any. I will first and foremost reiterate to the general public and the media practitioners here present today the role of this Secretariat as prescribed by statute, which means the legal entity. The Secretariat was established by the government of the Gambia to mobilize resources from the OIC member countries and other friends of the Gambia to execute public infrastructure projects in preparation to a successful hosting of the 14th Head of States Summit. The Secretariat's resource mobilization drive is on course. And at this press briefing, we will highlight our initiatives and the tangibles attained in the furtherance of a successful summit to be hosted in the Gambia. The objective of the Secretariat is to boost the Gambia's public infrastructure portfolio by using the summit as an anchor to national development. Equally, hosting of the summit gives us an opportunity to rebrand and reposition the Gambia as a conference destination in the sub-region. The construction of a new conference center and the rehabilitation of the airport, which is the Banjul Airport, positions the Gambia to be a premier meeting and international conference events destination. Nice. This will diversify our existing tourism product, which relies on seasonal tourist visits. Capacity building. In our drive to achieve the above, the Secretariat embarked on the following. First, security training. The Turkish government has been instrumental in training most of the Gambian security personnel over the last few months. A total of 1,200 personnel were trained both in the Gambia and in Turkey on relevant subject matter associated with maintaining peace and security for the summit. On behalf of the government and the people of the Gambia OIC Secretariat wishes to extend its gratitude to the government of Turkey for its benevolence in assisting the Gambia. The following training programs were executed both locally and internationally. Protocol training. A total of 110 participants had two different protocol training sessions sponsored by the government of Turkey and the government of Indonesia in the Gambia. On resource mobilization, the operational budget of the Gambia OIC Secretariat is fully funded by the following member countries: the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the government of Kazakhstan, the government of Azerbaijan, and the Islamic Development Bank in Saudi Arabia. On the project financing, with regards to the status of the funding, we are pleased to inform you that draft MOUs between the government of the Gambia and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under the umbrella of the Saudi Fund have been nearly completed. The Saudi Fund will support in the implementation of the following projects. 1. 100-kilometer road, which includes the dual carriage from the airport Johnson to Stinkona. The new VIP lounge we're going to build at the airport, Banjul International Airport. Enhanced water production, transmission, and distribution of electricity within the Greater Banjul area vis-a-vis the OIC concentrated areas. However, separate negotiations continue with the Saudi Investment Authority for the funding of the five-star hotel. Furthermore, we're expecting additional support from the following countries, member countries: the Kingdom of Morocco, the government of Turkey, the government of the Sultanate of Brunei, Qatar, Indonesia, Malaysia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, South Korea, which is not a member country, and Ivory Coast. On the project updates, valuation of the properties along the 22-kilometer road in relation to the expansion of the Airport Johnson Stinkona Road. The Road Reserve Committee, a multi-sectorial committee, observed that some properties have encroached into the 40-meter road reserve buffer along the Airport Johnson traffic lights. As a result, the Gambia OIC Secretariat sponsored a property assessment exercise conducted by the Department of Physical Planning and Lands and Surveys. A preliminary report was submitted to the authorities for review and for further action. The OIC Secretariat requested for expression of interest from potential consultancy service providers for all the priority projects. The requests were open to all interested, both internationally and locally. The evaluation of the bids were undertaken by an independent multi-sectorial committee whose report is being considered by the OIC Secretariat and the Saudi Fund. The Secretariat has also finalized the pre-qualification process for the contractors for the following projects: the 22-kilometer road expansion, which is the dual carriage from the Airport Johnson to Stinkona, the 50-kilometer road secondary roads around the OIC concentrated area, the 400-bedroom five-star hotel, and the new VIP lounge to be built at the Banjul International Airport. Water and electricity enhancement project. The advertisement for the pre-qualification of the contractors for the water and electricity projects are currently in progress. The deadline for submission is the 17th of June 2019. As part of the preparatory work of the Secretariat, a local organizing committee, LOC, has been set up consisting of the following subcommittees: 1. Transport. 2. Logistic. 3. Security. 4. Protocol. 5. Accommodation. 6. Documentation. 7. Events. 8. Media and publicity. So far, 2 study visits have been undertaken by members of the LOC to Turkey and UAE to attend OIC summits to understudy how these summits are conducted. In conclusion, the change of date is not new within the OIC history. The first summit of the OIC was held in 1969 in Rabat in Morocco. The second was held in Lahore, Pakistan. Instead of 1972, it was held in 1974. So that was a 2 years delay. The third summit was held in Mecca in 1981 instead of 1975, which means another 6 years delay. The sixth summit was held in Dakar, our neighbors in Senegal, in 1991 instead of 1990. The 11th summit was held in Dakar again instead of 2006, but in 2008. The 12th summit was held in Cairo, Egypt in 2013 instead of 2011. Finally, the Gambia OIC Secretariat wishes to reiterate its commitment in transforming the public infrastructure portfolio of the Gambia. Thank you very much for your attention. I think now we can take some questions.
Thank you very much, CEO Lamin Jekesan. And that's it. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. I would now acknowledge the presence of the spokesperson of the government in the name of Mr. Ibrahim J. Sankare, and then I will give him the mic, and he has something to say.
Good morning, Mr. Sani. Good morning, members of the Secretariat, colleagues, members of the press corps. It's an honor to be invited to this very significant press conference, given all the insinuations and innuendos that actually surrounded the proposed hosting of the summit in the Gambia and the subsequent rescheduling, as the chief executive has ably demonstrated. Many years ago, Gambians were looking for a system of government where whatever they do would be under the scrutiny of the microscope. I think even if we have not reached that dispensation, we are gradually inching towards the realization of that dream. That today we could be assembled here to tell the whole world what has transpired in the course of this period, the diplomatic onslaught that was mounted by the government of the Gambia after they realized that they may not be able to host it as scheduled on time. So you guys have so many questions to ask, and without further ado, I would hand over the mic back to the chief executive. They can proceed with a press conference, and we look forward to having a very successful press conference. Thank you so much, and thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sankare. Now, I believe we can open the floor for questions, and let me reiterate what I said earlier, please. The questions shouldn't be more than 2.5 to 3 minutes, and then don't, please make statements, ask questions. Yeah. All right. Okay, just forgot one.
7-8.
Yeah. Just forgot one thing. Please, when you're asking the question, identify yourself and the media house you are representing. Well, I think that would be for your own benefit too, right? Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and of course the members of the conference panel. Some months ago, you were emphatically told the president that we are on track. Looks like with the shifting of the dates, the track has been derailed. Can you tell us where lies the derailment?
Thank you, Malik. And I think, we had two hats. One is to prepare for a summit, which is the meeting, venue, guests come in, and then we had another hat to prepare for the infrastructure. And the venue for the meeting, arrangements for the meeting is okay. But the infrastructure, to host that, that's where we had a delay. And if you look along this road, which is the most attraction point from the airport to the conference center, you see some marks on the wall. And to come to the reality is we need to engage in certain consultation. That's why we constituted and sponsored the evaluation exercise to get to the fact that you cannot do a road project based on assumptions. You need to get to the facts. Now, to get to the facts, we need to commission an exercise for people to go on the ground, do the measurements between the 40 or the 20 for a decision to be taken, whether we are going to compensate or we are going to demolish. And that took a lot of time. And looking at the data we had at the time, there was no way we could complete the road project, complete this thing on time for the November summit. And based on that, we have to make a decision, and we did. For the interest of the country, and the objective we had is to develop the infrastructure, which was the key thing for us. Here, the objective of this secretariat is to support the government to improve the infrastructure of this country. And we will not compromise that for only having a summit that people will not come. Or no, I mean, I think we also want to rebrand Gambia. And to rebrand Gambia, you need to make sure that when people come, they come back again. And you can look at our airport. The work is on. It's not going to be completed, but at least we will have managed with it. But then the key part of it is the infrastructure, connecting the airport and the water system and the energy system in this area. We want people to be repeat visitors. And to be able to achieve that, when they come, they must be happy, and they will bring their families more. We can host more conferences. So it was the infrastructure part that we were way behind. Thank you.
I'm Sajo Sambo from iAfrica TV. The 40-meter buffer road mark you did on some of these walls will permanently move some of these residents off their compounds. And tenants or landlords are complaining what mechanisms the OIC is taking place to make sure they gain back their land or they're being compensated. What are the mechanisms the OIC is putting in place to ensure that those who will be hugely affected feel the soft hands of the OIC?
Thank you. I think going back to the earlier statement I made, we commissioned an exercise to value, to determine, to get to the facts, that where does the 20 buffer lie. So you will see on some of the walls, some have 2.1 meters, some have 4 meters, some have 5 meters. So in that report, we've got the facts that this is what is required if you're going to compensate, if you want to demolish. But again, what the basis of that 40 meter was a 1983 plan, which we have reviewed. An addition has been made. Now, some will be affected, some will not be affected, but I believe 90% will not be affected with the new 20 meter we are looking at right now. So the NRA technicians came here. We had a series of meetings to review the plan that we had from the beginning, to now say, okay, how can we resolve this issue going forward, so that to address some of the concerns. Look, it's sentimental. If I sit here and say I would be happy to do that, I'm not be very honest to you. I don't want to be involved in breaking people's home. That's not the objective of the secretariat. But then development comes with some level of cost, which we have to accept as a country. But we will do our best to make sure that we minimize that impact. That's why we spent our money to commission a report to tell us if we do the road in two lane, we can reduce the measurements we had for the light. Because remember, road construction is not only to build a road, but you also have to put at least 3 meters for electricity, 3 meters for water, and then maybe 7 meters for Gamtel, for the cables. And to avoid future breaking of the roads, to cut and trying to Gamtel to put pipes everywhere we see every time they're trying to dig. Let's sit together. So that's why we have the Road Reserve Committee, which is a multi-sectoral committee. Gamtel, now everybody's part of it. So addition has been made, and that issue has been resolved. Yes, I'm not saying 100%, but there might be some discussions on who is affected and who is not affected. So that has been addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will allow the project manager, Mr. Ibrahim Akoli, to shed light on this, and he's a member of the Road Reserve Committee too.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to reiterate on CEO's statement, the 40-meter road reserve, as he earlier alluded to, actually started all the way back in 1983. So we have to accept the fact that most of the problems we have encountered was caused by, I can say, us as well. So if the policy is 40 meters and we encourage entry and say nothing's going to happen, at the end of the day, something that would be delayance. So both in terms of policy and in terms of the residents themselves actually cause some of these problems. So like you said, we don't want to create problems. So that's why we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, fine. How do we mitigate these problems? Do we have to change the initial design, or do we have to maintain what we have? Sooner or later, you will see what we have, but properties will be affected and we will have a solution for it too. We will not come out here and say that none of these properties will be affected. No, but we will try and mitigate it as best as possible. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Colley.
Gentleman there.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon. Amadou Barry for the Senegalese media. Thank you very much. I have two questions to Honorable Mr. Sankare. The first one is we had some information in Senegal that, you know, the special advisor of Macky Sall, Madame Pendambo, has said that Senegal is ready to co-host this summit with Gambia. I would like to have the reaction of the government, and could it be possible? And the second one is the main reason for this, the conference has been postponed. Don't you think that, as you know, the representative of the government, that you know this secretariat was set up just almost 1 year, and since this government took over, you know, they say almost 1 year and 6 months to establish this secretariat. I would like to have your reaction to that. Don't you think that the delay is from the government? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Regarding your first question, as Gambia and Senegal co-hosting the future or the proposed 2022 OIC summit, that's quite frankly news to me. I'm just hearing it for the first time, and thank God for the rumor. We will find out, but I'm not so sure how authentic that theory is these days. As you know, we have fake news, we have real news. So that may also fall under the purview of fake news. That notwithstanding, I would also dig, and then I would let you know. You know, I always cooperate with you, we always work together. The second question, whether Gambia government deliberately actually failed or delayed, I think that is equally a bizarre question, really. We are looking at the expectations of the Gambia government and the Gambian people who were poised, really, to attend to this very important program. For that government, a responsible government, to deliberately just delay it is preposterous, the thinking of it itself. I think the Gambia government was ever determined to host it, and the circumstances underlying the inability of the government to host it, you know, have been highlighted here by the CEO. And that infrastructure is significant. You cannot host a conference if you don't have a reliable, efficient distribution system for water and electricity. And beside, above and beyond that, you know, we just transitioned from a dictatorship. This country suffered from institutional breakdown. He just talked about a commission being to report on the encroachment of land, that people consciously decided to encroach on government property, knowing that they had a boundary, but they decided that, you know, they would do it the way they wanted, because in the past 2 decades, there was a president who would just go and seize people's properties. So that was normal. So when chaos becomes normal, you know, what is normal becomes difficult to fix. This is a very responsible government. Had they had the kind of mindset that preceded this government, the OIC maybe could have been held, because all these properties would have been bulldozed long time ago. Long time ago. In fact, nobody would dare speak. Nobody would question the authority of whoever was bulldozing properties. But this time around, this is a government that negotiates, that dialogues, that goes into conversation with people. That's what good governments do. And that's why we decided to call you and talk to you as a government that is responsible, that is transparent, that is open to criticism, that is willing to learn from mistakes. Those are my answers. I don't know if they suffice. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Kewa Ansumane from Chronicle News Agency. My question is looking at the caliber of personalities we have at the Secretariat here, and knowing the fact that the OIC is supposed to hold in November, you know, and given also the fact that there were some countries that delay the OIC summit. You did mention of Saudi, Senegal, and few. Don't you think that would have been a learning point for this secretariat not to replicate the failure of those countries who deferred the OIC summit? And also, how would you describe the secretariat having been formed over 1 year, and then a lot has been expected, but very little has been delivered? How would you describe this situation? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The first part of the question, well, I cannot speak for those countries, the reasons for deferring. I can only speak for my country, because I am part of this, part and parcel of this. I'm in the heart of this OIC thing, so I can only speak for Gambia. But I cannot speak for why Senegal delayed, why was delayed in other countries. I have no information, and I have not honestly asked why they delayed. But I know for sure that the delay was not because the countries wanted to delay for reasons. Number two, a learning point, yes, we consulted. I want to make something very clear here. OIC has changed. This organization is no more run on country line. It's no more country issue. There are 4 regions in the OIC: Africa, Arabia, Southeast Asia, and Asia. The chairmanship rotates now. So every region has an opportunity to host. So Gambia's host is not Gambia's host, it's Africa's hosted. The decision for Gambia to host was given to Africa. And Africa bloc, 22 countries gave it to Gambia. So to change that, Gambia government does not have the authority to get up and say, oh, we cannot host tomorrow. No, you have to go back to that bloc and have the engagement and discuss within yourselves, and that bloc will go to the OIC and present the Africa case. So it's a bloc. So whatever the reasons that you might say Senegal, maybe it was shared at some point, okay? But then what I wanted to make clear is that hosting of the OIC summit, this particular one for 2019, is a Gambia Africa summit that was supposed to be hosted in Gambia. That there were certain things that were outlined from the beginning. Yes, we have delays. Honestly, yes, we had. The country came from, the country had no money to host. Let me be very clear on that. That's why we were asked to mobilize money, to mobilize resources, to build the infrastructure to host the summit. And there's nothing wrong. And I don't think we will regret. I have no regrets being here, or to say, yes, we are not ready. We love this country. We'll do our best for this country. We will not be rushed to hosting a summit that will taint the image of this country. No. What we will do here, in collaboration with the Africa bloc, that's why I said, whatever we're doing here is not in isolation. You've seen in the media how many times have we had visitors from the OIC Secretariat. So have they also failed, if I may put that to you? No, because it's a consultation. We are willing to, as a group. It's not only Gambia that is running this thing. The OIC Secretariat has been here 5 times since this establishment was here. We hosted the Rohingya conference here, which we did, the OIC did. And it was a success because it was a smaller conference. We had 10 countries who came here, the foreign ministers, to prepare the resolution on the Rohingya Muslims. It was covered widely. We hosted that successfully. It was in the media. And we were commended by the OIC for Gambia taking the step to host that summit. So again, hosting a summit, it doesn't mean it's only the country that is hosted. It's a family. So the whole Africa is behind Gambia on this. And they took the position to the General Secretariat to say, look, we have challenges here, we need to fix it. They didn't say we are taking it away from Gambia. We have to fix those challenges. Now, how do we go about that? We can defer the summit to 2022 and then go by the provisions of the OIC. And that's what we did. I hope that answers your question.
I'm not sure, because what I was... Please, yes.
Next, please.
Next question.
Thank you very much. My name is Binta Jallo from Paradise TV. Is it true that the foreign minister struck a deal with Saudi Arabia to host the OIC summit in 2019, provided they fulfill at least half of the pledge they made to the Gambia? And what is the assurance that the summit will be hosted in the Gambia come 2022? Thank you.
Thank you, Binta. I think the first part of the question, the emphatic answer is no. anything that deals with OIC resource mobilization and preparation of the summit is us here. The foreign minister is one of the board members, so I'm not sure he has that mandate or that authority to go and strike a deal on behalf of a legal entity that he is not a signatory. So, yes, if you ask me, is he part of their team that has been discussing OIC? Yes, he's a board member. And remember, a foreign minister looks after international cooperation, where the OIC falls. So he's pretty much involved. And I've traveled the whole world with him. We just came back 2 days ago from 5-nation tour. So he's involved. But there was no deal that was signed by anybody to host the summit. If I may, if you ask me to help and clarify that, I will. I said the Africa summit was given to Gambia as a block. So every decision to change the hosting of that summit is not Gambia's prerogative alone. You have to consult, and I was involved in that from the beginning up to today. I was involved in every discussion with every president. I've traveled all over, but there was no deal with anybody, because this is not about buy and selling. There's no profit in this. There's no trade. What is important for Gambia is, what do we get from hosting the OIC summit? And that's what I want us to address, is to improve our infrastructure, to go home this afternoon. How many hours do we spend on this road? We could have done what my uncle said here earlier on. Bulldoze, no. But then we want to take our time to do the right thing, so that when the visit, we don't want, look, we were talking about the hotel. We had the issue with the monkey park, and you are the people who were writing all over. Oh, the OIC want to destroy a monkey park. We responded positively, didn't we? Did we build the hotel at the monkey park? By now it would have been ready, right? But we are very sensitive to the environment, to the people. This is about Gambia. It's for Gambians. It's not for me or for the president or for the foreign minister. And I want to make this very, very clear. Any decision about the OIC, I am personally involved. I am personally involved, and I lead. So the question of the foreign minister striking a deal is not starter. It's a non-starter, please. Huh? The second part of your question, assurance. You know, when you deal with multinational geopolitics and all that, you cannot say assurance. The procedure, the summit has a procedure. Let me make it very clear again. The procedure of the OIC is clearly stated in the Charter of Rules of Engagement, which says if a host country is not able to host for whatever reason, and no other country within the same geography, here again, let's come back to Gambia's context. Gambia cannot host, no other country in the sub-region Africa can host. The provisions in the Charter says the summit will be hosted by the General Secretariat host country. Let me repeat. The summit will be hosted by the General Secretariat host country, which is where? Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So maybe that's the link. That's why they said there was a deal stroke. No, it's the rules of engagement signed by all member countries. So that's the rule. And Gambia did the OIC family a favor for not delaying. Now, I did mention about number of countries that didn't host the summit. 6 years, 3 years, no summit. We didn't want to do that. We know that it's very transparent. There are rules of engagement. We followed the rules by making sure that the Africans make this decision and no deal closing here and there. So coming back to your question, guarantee assurance is an African summit that was supposed to be in Gambia. After Gambia, it was supposed to go to Arabia. So now, you see the chronology. Now we're going to Saudi Arabia to host the meeting. Okay, that means the Arabia turn now will have it, then Africa will have their turn. So it's by block, so they cannot, I don't know whether that answers your question. That's how it's hosted. So there's no assurance, it's by block. So the Africans will get their block, their time, and the time is for Gambia. That has been established already. Okay? Thanks. Okay, the lady.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Dado Cham from Star TV. Well, my question is about the funding. You've mentioned of the countries that are already funding the OIC. So you've also mentioned additional funding, like the ones that you have hope. Is it that they're already in the picture to fund, or is something that it's the step you want to take to involve them, or they're already in the picture? Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, during the first press briefing, I did mention that we had a resource mobilization plan, which covered about 17 OIC member countries and 2 non-OIC member countries. And all these countries were written to, We had engagement at the ministerial level, at the ambassador level. The president has spoken, some of the head of states as well. So the process is already ongoing. They've already replied to say, okay, where can we help? We've divided the support we need various countries, so we are now following up. Some have already pledged, but the pledge have not come. But then at least if a country pledges, for sure they will come. So that has been done already. Now it's the follow-ups we are on. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Sajo Fati from Home Digital FM. You do mention that there are challenges you have to fix. What are these challenges you have to fix?
There are very many dealing with the geopolitics, but then let's come to the main point, I think, which is, because you have not been very specific, the challenge, which area. If we look at the challenges we faced from the beginning, one headache was this road. Serious headache. Very, very difficult exercise. I had sleepless nights, people calling me names. Well, that's the fact. If you want to work in the public enterprise, you have to be ready to accept certain criticisms. People will call you names without having any idea. But the biggest challenge we had was trying to resolve this issue on this road. And two was the airport. If you look at going to the airport, you know, the landing part, okay, it's correct, right? It's called the landing part when you are coming on the road. We also have to decide what do we do at that junction, because you cannot touch the airport fence on that side, because that's where the planes will land. Number three is to look at Gambia today, our accommodation. What do we need? We had issues. Okay, we've identified location. I said our plan was to build a hotel next to the conference facility for proximity, because for security reasons, it's better you have the heads of state staying for a walking distance from the conference. We had 2 months to deal with monkey park issues, and that also took a lot of time of our time to prepare. Okay, then we now had a location which we also have to go through another process. So that's locally, and main challenges were locally. Honestly, they were locally. The external part is purely to deal with the OIC General Secretary's expectation. That's why they were coming and visiting. The technical report, they came here twice to see how far we're going. They passed their judgment. They said, do this, do that, do that. So we had mainly the challenges were locally to deal with the infrastructure. How do we fix it?
I'm Louis Mendy from...
let me just... is the mic on? Yes, let me just reiterate one thing, please. The time, 2.5, 3 minutes. That's it. Okay. Oh, you're saying... Okay.
I'm Louis Mendy from the Gambia Radio and Television Services. You did mention, if I get you right, that this secretariat has the sole responsibility of mobilizing funds for the infrastructure project of the OIC. Since you were established only a year ago, prior to the OIC, mobilizing funds alone is another thing of its own. Talk less of the start of these infrastructure projects to the completion. And you were only established a year ago. As technocrats, convince me that you were not convinced or know that at the beginning, since looking at the time duration, this was not possible as a secretariat. How can you convince me that you didn't know that 1 year wasn't enough because of this Herculean task? And also, on the side of the government, how can the government convince Gambians that within a 1 year period, you have this huge task ahead of you? Convince us as technocrats that you didn't know it was not possible.
Thank you very much. I think that's a valid question, and we would deal with it appropriately. You know, time frame is from, we started I started 1st of March. But before me, if I came in on this role, there was a committee that was set up, and there were certain things that were identified. Some of these projects we're doing now were part of that master study, which was about $1.2 billion projects. There were a lot of hotels to be built, 3 hotels, right? There were a lot of things that were done. So when we came in, we sat and said, hey, let's prioritize because of the time we have. Okay? But at the time, the resource mobilization have not started yet. But we need to first, before you resource mobilize, you need to know what you want to do. So first you start, what do I need to be able to host a successful summit? And again, at the brand Gambia as a tourism destination. Our objective from the beginning was not only to host the summit, but also to achieve so many national development initiatives that we wanted to achieve, so that we continue our tourism 12 months over the year. Because we've been known for sun, sea, and sand since I was in primary school, or even before I was born, when tourism started in this country. How do we change that? This is an opportunity, hosting the OIC, second biggest international conference in the whole world, in small Gambia. We need to capitalize on that, rebuild, rebrand this country. Now, what are the priorities for us to start that phase? Which means, what do we need? Okay, we need water, we need electricity in this area, we need to build a new VIP lounge, we need to connect the airport and the hotel areas, okay? We need to put electricity. Now, we reviewed and said, okay, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we started our resource mobilization. Now, in that process, we had milestones that, okay, by October, by December, by November, we should finish 1, 2, 3, 4 on our own work program. Now, those were delayed beyond control. We don't have control over some of those things, because I wish I had. I would have made sure that we have it, or we would have made sure that we do this. But we didn't have control over some of those issues. And that's why he said that we're going to learn from these things and look at these things, because we are dialoguing. We could have bulldozed and forced our way, but I don't think we would get everybody on board. And we don't want that. So that's why I said it's a process that we started. It took us time, yes. Hadn't we knew that we would have these challenges, probably better, we could have better managed it. But I believe that today, where we are better equipped from when we started last year on these projects, okay? Again, I come from an environment where I would have done this easily because I'm a commercial person. I come from a private sector. It would have been, wouldn't have this bottlenecks because I'm coming from a commercial background. But I'm dealing with the government, dealing with bureaucratic. It's a challenge, so we have to deal with it. And then to have everybody on board this project, it's required, so that we don't find the problems. That's why we set up the road reserve, where everybody, they meet here every Thursday to discuss these things. And it took time to get to the bottom of these things. Thank God we managed to now come say, look, this is the reality. Going forward, this is how we're going to do it. Now, going forward, these projects we just discussed, we're going to start implementing. We are at the MOU stage of signing the financing. Very soon you will hear the contracts being awarded after the signing of those financing agreements, and the contractors will start their work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. I mean, I think, let me just make, can you please put the mic on, sir? Let me just announce 2 more questions after this, then we will end it, please. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mohamed Lamin Sanya from DHKFM. The question that I want to ask is a concern to the citizens that they are so much worried about the road network connection, because most of the people are affected. How so that the government will compensate the concerned citizens?
Is the question for me or for my uncle?
Yes.
But I will take that off him, because I'm much more positioned to respond to projects than my uncle here. So I would not want to put him on the spot. Look, we are Gambians, okay, and the objective of this office and this government, is not to disadvantage Gambians or to put Gambians in a difficult situation. I think that's why we are here. I think what we will do, or what has been done already, is to do the evaluation. We started from the site, Airport Junction. We've covered all the way to traffic lights. Now, the biggest challenge is from traffic light to Sting Corner. You are not an engineer, but you could see that people encroach by yourself. So how do you expect me to compensate somebody who have violated the laws? How do you expect me to compensate for somebody who had violated the laws? Let me finish. You asked a question, so I'm coming back to your answer, okay? Now, the people who have permits, who have the documentations to their properties, yes. Your question should be, how will they be compensated? Because I don't believe everybody is within the law, okay? But then development has a price, and we have to be honest to each other. Do we want to leave it as it is and don't do anything? And history will judge us for failing our country and our future citizens? Or we address the issue collectively and do what is right for this country? So that's the question we have answered. Say, no, we will not let go. We have to find a solution. And the solution is to restructure, or redesign the road, if I may rephrase, and say, instead of looking at the 40 buffer, 20 should be okay. We do a dual carriage, okay? The pavement we wanted to do, we reduced it. The design of the green and the trees, we reduce the size. NAWEC, Gamtel, water, electricity, and telecoms, which people forget, is very important on the side. Do we put double lighting on the side, or we put single in the middle with broad? So we have done all this technical part. So that is technical part. Now, coming back to the Gambians, anybody on this road who is affected will be dealt with properly. That will happen. The government will take its stance and they will do what is right. Okay? Thank you very much.
I think we have
2 more questions.
One more question. One more question. One.
Oh. Oh, this guy.
No.
I wanted to. Everybody. Thank you. The question mark is when? When will you start this very crucial exercise? The demolition is very key to this road. Be assertive. When will you do it?
Thank you, Malik. And I think we all share the passion of fixing this road. It's a process. Road construction is a process. You have to have certain documentation in place. And if I may just highlight two points on that. First, the evaluation for contractors has been completed. The report is ready. The consultants, remember, as I said the last time, for each project, we're going to appoint an independent consultant to be responsible for the design and the supervision as per the terms of the financing we are getting. Because these are international agencies. They're not giving you money and say, yeah, go. No, they have certain conditions that we have to meet. And that is in progress with the Minister of Finance. We are working on that. And very soon that document will be signed so that when we sign the contractors agreement, it fits in. We don't want to be signing something and the payment terms are something that will create problems. So we are at that stage now. After completion of that, I can tell you tomorrow or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But until that document is signed, I cannot commit myself to a date. Okay? But until that document is signed, which is the most important thing, is payment. We have not signed that yet. When we sign that, the contractors now, I can tell them you have to sign this within 2 weeks, and I expect you to mobilize within 6 weeks. I can tell you, Malik, in July 10 or July 15, bulldozing will start. But until then, I can't. Thank you.
Koli has something. Koli has something to say. Then after we'll invite him. Yeah, we'll invite you.
And just to add to it, the when. Once the final design is completed, it will then lay out who will be affected and when they will do the demolition. Because so far, the final design is not yet done.
Okay, well, the brother from Chronicle, right? For your follow-up question, CEO wants to, yeah. You have a mic? Yes, okay. You have a mic? No, that's a mic.
I just wanted to know, so far how much has been mobilized since your work has started, and how much has also been spent to maintain the secretariat 1 year now? Thank you very much.
Thank you. On the secretariat funding, we are more than 1 year now, right? Right? Yeah. Yes. And the cost of operation for the secretariat per annum was about I think $600,000, including the resource mobilization is fully paid by the secretariat, which includes government officials traveling. Okay, so it's not only the secretariat's cost, but anything that has to do with the OIC activities was funded from this office. Even the police security training, we spent a lot of millions of dollars sending people to Turkey for training. We sent about 1,212 security personnel on training. We've been responsible for 100% cost for both the trainers coming from Turkey, Indonesia, and also sending people to Turkey for training. Right now. Okay. Now on the projects, is by projects. What we have today is the road, which is $100 million for the roads. We've got 10.5 million for the airport VVIP lounge. We've got 10 million for the electricity. We've got 22.5 for the water. Now we have second phase of the projects. Yes, US dollars. Yes. Now we're also embarking on the pledges that the lady asked earlier. When we get any confirmation, we will add more projects, because we don't want to add a project we don't have the sponsor. So first, we established, we've sold what we want to do. When we confirm any other funding, we will let you know. But so far, that's where we are. But also remember, the source of funding for this office, like I said, is from the Saudi Arabia government, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, the IDB. They've contributed immensely to supporting this office and the operation of this office. And they will continue, let me make that clear, to supporting this office until 2023, I believe, when we finish this project. So the first of this office is zero cost to Gambia government. I want to repeat that. It's zero cost to Gambia government. It's funded by the OIC member countries. And let me also add that nobody earns dollars here. And let me make that very clear. And I am not on a salary. Okay? Let me make this clear because I've taken too much insult for supporting my country. So people should stop saying that people here are earning dollars, and I think that is wrong. When people are sacrificing for their country, coming to town to do things to improve what we already have as Gambians, and we need to appreciate people. I know criticism is okay, but let's be factual. If you write about me, say the facts. I've been here since last year, February. I don't collect salary. Even the house I was given, I didn't take it. That's my contribution to my country. I don't think that's wrong. So if people are writing saying, oh, he's earning $10,000, he's earning this, I think we need to get to the bottom of that. If you want facts, come to the office. My contract, I'm on secondment from my employers. And when I was asked to come, I knew they cannot pay my salary. I know it. I didn't go there. I said I will come and help to rebuild my country. So we need to, as journalists, as people in the media, the information we pass is important because people listen to us and they believe what we write. Right? I have traveled extensively to put Gambia on the map. We just hosted a Rohingya summit. Maybe most of you don't understand what that means. But today Gambia is in the map again for the right reasons. Because we hosted Rohingya. We are known for human rights. And we hosted the Human Rights Summit on Rohingya immigrants who were asked to leave their countries because they were Muslims. We stood by them. Okay? So I want people to understand we want to be friendly to the journalists. We are very friendly here. I have never rejected any call. But I think what I'm saying is let's report what is facts. If you need anything on the OIC, please come to the office. We're very open here. We'll give you information. What we know, we will tell you. I heard stories, oh, they signed a deal with Saudi. I told my mom that I collected 60 million. I gave something to the president, and I gave something to Tangara. I think it's no. We need to be very, very, very honest about some of these things, and I'm not worried because I'm doing it for my country. I will take anything for it. But my mom, no. Yeah. Yep. No.
Well, thank you very much. Well, we have all heard from the CEO. I think facts cannot be controlled. Facts are stubborn. So I support the CEO on that. And I just want to say something little here because I hear the word deal. I mean, deal does not exist between interstate relationships. States sign pacts and agreements. They don't sign deals. Deals are for cartels and the tri-border area of Mexico. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But yes, sir. Okay, all right. Yeah, for the benefit. Okay, for the benefit.
Well, I think rules also need to be respected because there are other people who equally want to ask questions. At some point, we need to put the curtains off. So with all due respect, next time, the floor will be yours. Thank you.